Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And I have finally sort of deviated from my eco lifestyle kick, and I wanted to challenge myself and do a base game only build. So that is exactly what this is. This is a base game only family home. There are three bedrooms and 4 bathrooms somehow. That's what I ended up with. I don't know how I did that, but I did it, so freaking proud of myself. But I really, really like this home. It took a very long time to really get it together. The outside structure came together really quickly, but I did go into the debug menu quite often to kind of compensate for the fact that I didn't have all of the packs. That provided me with a majority of the clutter I typically use in builds. So that was actually really hard. I do love challenging myself in that way because the debug menu has some amazing items, but it just takes so long to go through the entire debug catalog, I guess you could say. So it took a very long time for me to actually find items and pull them out, because basically all you get is the base game filter, and then it's just a free-for-all of probably upwards of at least hundreds, if not 1,000 plus items to go through. I mean, that menu is insane if you actually don't filter down to just base game or something and you have all the packs. Woo, that is a lengthy catalog. But as you can see, the outside structure is pretty much coming together at this point, and I was actually following somewhat of a floor plan from an image that I found on Pinterest, and you can see it down in the left-hand side of the screen. But there was a floor plan. I couldn't follow it exactly just because we know that proportions and whatnot don't really add up in The Sims. So I couldn't make all of the rooms exactly the same as it laid out in that floor plan. And I believe the second story of this home, I didn't even follow the floor plan. I just made what I could. So I don't know. I think I followed it pretty closely. I did need some inspiration for this house because a lot of my homes end up, in my opinion, looking very similar, at least with the structure. The color scheme's different, the decorations are always somewhat different at least. But this one, I needed some inspiration, and I wanted to have a house with a garage. I have been really wanting cars lately. I don't know if we'll ever get them, but I've been really wanting cars lately, and I just think garages add that sense of realism to a home, so that's kind of why I was searching for a reference picture in the first place. But now I'm going into the debug menu, and I'm pulling out some other kind of outside decorative items, and I found this really cool looking little sign, and I put it right above basically their little walkway, right, the front stairs, and I was thinking that was their house number or something, which I thought was kind of a cute idea. I mean, granted, it literally looks like a street sign, so just suspend your disbelief a little bit, but I thought it was the house number or something like that. And I even put those brick columns around the pillars, around the columns, the brick little pillars, the brick columns around the other columns. I need to stop. But I put them around the bottom just to add a little bit more of pizzazz to them, I suppose, just because going back to base game only was really hard, especially with the build items. Windows I felt pretty good, doors I felt okay, but columns and stairs and stuff like that, that was tough. Luckily, landscaping was super easy because when you go into the debug menu, there are tons of debug plants, and a lot of them you don't have in the regular catalog. So that was actually really nice. So the landscaping came together, I would say, fairly quickly, and I really do like how it looks. It's not too overgrown, it's not too crazy, and it doesn't frame the entire house. It's just kind of random, or what seemed to be random and miscellaneous places around the build itself. And I use these pansies as the low-lying flowers instead of the typical low-lying, I think, yellow plant or what it is. I think it's the yellow flowers or something. So that was kind of nice, and I think it came together pretty well. As you can see too, I was using the terrain tools to kind of build a driveway up to that garage, because unfortunately when you raise the foundation, even in using that debug garage, which I didn't even know we had, by the way, which is awesome. But when I found that, I realized that when you raise the foundation, it's obviously going to raise with it, and that looks really awkward if you're thinking of actually driving your car into the garage. So I needed to use the terrain manipulation to kind of even that out a little bit, and to have the car actually laying flat, not hovering, I had to make a very steep incline, like right in front of the garage door. So it's a little bit weird, but I still think it works. And now I'm kind of just working out the corner of the lot, and I didn't go to the backyard immediately. I didn't do all of the landscaping. I didn't even finish placing all of the windows, which is a little odd with the way that I build. So as you can see, now that I went on the interior and figured out the floor plan, I was like, okay, I can now figure out the back of the house, because right now it's very flat. So I was trying to figure out different roofs and porches and maybe little jutting out pieces, because if you guys haven't noticed, when you go on Pinterest too for homes to look at or like some kind of inspiration with different floor plans, they never show you the back of the house. But if they do show you the back of the house, it's typically flat. It's flat with random placed windows, and that works great in real life. In The Sims, for me, it always looks odd. Some people can make it work, but like when I'm doing it myself, I can never do it. I can't do it. It'll drive me crazy. But now I'm working on the garage, and I ended up just putting a concrete floor and then this like raw wallpaper, because I wanted to make it an actual garage. So granted, the car isn't in there, but I do make it like a little bit of a workout space and just some miscellaneous like junk that maybe they just keep in the garage because there's nowhere else to keep it. They don't have like a shed or anything like that. And then I just try to pick out flooring and wallpaper and just really figure out which room is going to be which. And the first room I work on is actually right off of the front entryway, and it is a small office. So this is what was true to the floor plan that I was looking at for reference. There's like a small office off to the right, then a bathroom, the stairs, there's a living room, then a breakfast room is how it was labeled, which I thought was super weird, and then the kitchen. And I added another bathroom because I happened to have the room and it was a really awkward shape. But yeah, I work on the office first, and I was thinking that this is Dad's office. I think that he loves to fish. I think he's reasonably handy. Like, he does a lot of like home improvement projects around the home, but I don't really know what he does for work. I just kind of figured he needs his own office for whatever he does do. I have no idea. Also, let me just say, when being restricted to base game, curtains were freaking rough, as were wall decorations and artwork. That was really hard. I actually repeat a fair amount of artwork, I think, and a fair amount of plants. Like, when I actually pulled back and didn't have all of the packs, I did not have a lot to work with, and that made me sad, and it made me think about when I first got The Sims 4, which was, I think it was when it came out. I don't think I waited too long. However, I didn't even know The Sims 4 was coming. Like, that's how not in the loop I was, even with loving the Sims franchise. I had no idea that The Sims 4 was even coming, so when it was released, and I saw, like, some of the renders and the graphics, I was like, oh my god, I need that freaking pack. That's amazing. And then I got it, and I was just kind of like, well, I can't build, because I couldn't build back then at all. I was like, I can't build. I don't know how to play this game, and it's not open world, and then et cetera, et cetera. So I didn't really know how restrictive base game was until I tried to build this home in particular, but I think it came together okay. So now I just worked on the half bathroom. Granted, it's kind of a bigger half bath, but I couldn't place I didn't want to place the door on just like one tile off to the side and put a shower in. It seemed a little bit too cramped for that particular space. But I end up picking out curtains first just so I can kind of get that out of the way, because I knew it was going to give me a headache just with the restrictions I was under. And then I work on the living room, which I think is reasonably cozy. I think it's kind of cute. There really isn't too much to it. There's really just a couch and a TV and a bunch of like miscellaneous like kids and toddler toys, because like I said, this is a 3-bedroom home, and I think they actually have 2 toddlers and a child. That's just what I ended up decorating the bedrooms with, so that's what I'm sticking with. But I did use a lot of kind of, I don't know, tan items, except for the rug. Like, the rug was kind of the pop of color. But I mixed a bunch of different styles too, because it seems with base game, mainly what you get is either super like modern stuff or kind of fancier things. And I didn't really want to go for fancy. I wanted to go for just like kind of a casual suburban home. So I go into the debug menu, I pull out like these toddler blocks and a little like toddler mallet. I'm assuming it's for a toy. I put like a lip balm on the little table there, as well as a remote. There's a little toy in the corner, the actual nesting blocks for the toddlers to play with. And I shoved a dollhouse in the corner too. So the living room is like pretty cramped, but it's basically because the kids are kind of like half taking over it, I think. And I was going to put a little quote-unquote bookcase in the corner, but it just didn't look right to me. So I think I just end up putting a I think another plant or something like that. I honestly couldn't remember. It was a tough space to kind of fill. Oh yeah, I do. I put a lamp actually, not a plant, a lamp. But it was a tough space to fill because I didn't have any one tile bookcases, which we have with other packs. Gosh, I sound so negative about this. I'm not negative about it at all. Actually, this base game build was super fun, but it's just to emphasize like how much I was actually missing from playing the game with most of the packs. So it was just weird. But now I'm working on the entryway, and there was just a mirror and like a little coat rack and a little backpack because I think that their child sim is a little girl. And there's a toy chest and some other miscellaneous decorations, but I didn't go crazy, mainly because one, I really couldn't, but two, I didn't want it to look so repetitive by using a lot of the same artwork. So I was just trying to be cognizant of it and not kind of overloading it completely. But the living room is pretty much coming together. I do add a ceiling fan. So granted, basically if you have base game, you're going to have the ceiling fan, but I don't think it is going to have the functionality of actually keeping the home cooler or not. Because if you do have seasons, that can help if you don't have a thermostat, I believe. But now I'm working on the dining space. So this is what was considered like the breakfast room in the actual floor plan. And I was trying to combine a couple of plants here just to kind of make something maybe a little bit unique. And I settled on this. When I look back at it, it looks super weird. But I'll just take it for what it is. And I add a painting on the wall as well as some lamps, and then I just add like a little china cabinet in the corner as well as another little shelving unit, and then decorate the walls a bit just to kind of fill up a lot of that empty white space. That's what kind of drives me crazy is like empty white walls. So it was really hard to find things to fill. Like you're going to see a ton of mirrors. We're already up to 3 mirrors in this home, and only one of them is in a bathroom so far. So there's going to be a lot of mirrors in this house because they're great wall fillers, if you did not know. And now I'm just adding a couple more decorations to the dining table itself and kind of putting a new overhead lamp, and then going into the debug menu and pulling out these little, what I consider like water containers, like water bottles. They're glass, and they have that little like, I don't even know what the top is called, but it's kind of like a little push top, if that makes any sense. I don't even know. It kind of sort of has like a little bit of a lever to it. Also, if you hear my chair squeak, there it is. Sorry. My foot was going numb and I was sitting on it. But now I'm working on the kitchen, and I do really like the kitchen. I think it came together really nicely. I did go ahead and use the kind of like linoleum floor compared to the wood. It just looked a little bit nicer for this space. And it's a pretty big kitchen too, just because the dining space was separate. I felt like I had a lot more room to actually play around with the kitchen, which was cool. They have like the pots and pans overhanging the small little island, which is sweet. And I use a lot of debug in this kitchen as well. So first I kind of place this little Pizza Man My Sims doll, and then I do go into the debug menu and I create a little kind of a corner shelf underneath the cabinets to put some like bowls and glasses and like some flowers and stuff like that. I went and found like a meat mallet and some wooden utensils, which I thought were really cute. I also put I believe like a pan on top of the stove. Now, just a heads up, you will have to delete it to be able to use the stove. I just really liked how it looked. I might delete that pan prior to uploading this to the gallery just so it's not a nuisance. But I thought it looked cute, and I couldn't make it work on the shelf that I made here in the corner because I couldn't raise it to the appropriate height, and it didn't clip to a spot on the OMSP shelf. So that's why it ended up on the stove, but you do just have to get rid of that saucepan. And then since I was in the debug menu, I was occasionally pulling things out and tossing them in the garage because I knew I wanted to use them later. So you're going to see a lot of that. Like there's a lot of up and down between like the first level and the second at some point. I switch into different rooms real quick just to pop items in there because I know I want to use them at some point, because I don't want to go back through the debug menu because it's hard. But that little corner is pretty much all situated. I just grab a plant because I wanted there to be like a little flower in the corner. And then I just add like a flower decoration to the middle of this island. And in this space, I actually give them a bar because the kitchen was big enough to do that. So the bar is kind of in the corner here, and there are some other miscellaneous wall decorations that I end up plopping down. And then I add a plant in the corner because, well, I had to fill the space somehow. So they do have kind of like a fancier kitchen in my mind, and they have like a really nice dining room where they eat all of their meals. And now I'm picking out a few other decorations towards the entryway to this bathroom, because this is actually going to be a full bathroom. The other one was half, even though it's the same size. I know, it's weird. And then this one's going to be a full bathroom, which is, I think, maybe a little unusual. However, in older homes, as I've been kind of like looking at homes, because I am trying to purchase one. Trying is the key word. I am trying to purchase one. It's a tough world out there right now. And yeah, I think it's kind of weird that there's a full bathroom off of the kitchen. However, I am seeing that a lot in older homes where I am from. So it didn't strike me as that unusual. And now I'm working on the garage. So I ended up pulling out just miscellaneous like gardening decorations and tools and stuff, which I thought was cool. There are these crates and then just like some scrap pieces of wood. So like I said, I think Dad does a lot of home improvement projects. So maybe these are just materials that were left over. And I make it into a little gym, so I put these boxing gloves right next to the punching bag, and there is a treadmill and just a couple of posters and whatnot and some other sports equipment. And then I tried to figure out the rest of the back of the home. Since the downstairs was kind of like figured out, I needed to figure out the upstairs, and I just didn't want it to be so flat, but a lot of the pieces that I placed to kind of like jut out looked so awkward to me. They just really didn't fit the style of the build, so I kind of almost mirrored the front with the back in a lot of ways, at least with some jutting out pieces, but I think it ended up looking okay. And now moving on to the upstairs. This was a little hard because the stairs were directly in the middle of the build, and I wanted there to be kind of like this open space, not just in the actual stairwell, but I wanted there to be kind of like an open loft area, but it just didn't work with the floor plan because the stairs were totally walled off downstairs. So it's a really big kind of like, I don't know, landing space, at least in my opinion. I used a lot of space to do it, but it still ended up working out just fine. The two bathrooms up here, though, are kind of like cramped next to each other, so the parents don't really have an ensuite bathroom. That bathroom off the parents' room ends up being like more so for the kids, and then the other one is for the parents because it has a shower instead of the shower tub combo that is basically decorated for the kids too. But I work on the little landing space first. I put a little fish tank over here and then just some other miscellaneous wall decorations, as well as another mirror. And I noticed that we actually have a like card/game table that comes with base game. Had no idea until I decided to tackle this build, and that is it right there. It basically lists itself as like a game table. Now, I don't know if it works, kind of like how the Don't Wake the Llama/card table works with outdoor retreat and get together. So I will have to playtest that portion of it. I playtested the build and like all of the necessities are accessible, but I did not actually play with that table, so I should do that because I'd be really curious. And if you guys know, just let me know in the comments down below. But now I'm working on Mom and Dad's room, and it does have kind of like a mix of different woods, but I do like how it came out, and I did actually, I don't know, I let myself keep some blank wall space, like some just plain white wall space, because I was really running out of wall decorations. I did have the BB Show hidden objects sheet on, so I was able to pull out like this space photo here that I think you can only unlock with the astronaut career, if my memory is serving me correctly. So same with the prints above the bed as well. I think those are all unlocked with a career, so that kind of added a little bit. However, I didn't want it to be like a space themed bedroom either. It would have no meaning really to them other than the fact that maybe they like the photos, but it just seemed like a little much. So I only put one above the dresser there, and then I add some hampers and stuff like that. And here I am going up and down, up and down. I'm sorry if it makes you sick, but those were items I pulled out from the debug menu prior to moving upstairs. And it's like a little makeup tray and a eyeliner pencil brush and a nail file. So all of those things were in the debug menu, and it just adds so much realism, I think, to the different sims and builds, and just adds a little bit more clutter that you can actually use. So I really liked that. And this is where I put their hampers, and there is at least a painting above that, but the wall space there, I was thinking that those paintings or just posters or whatever that I kind of put on the floor that they just haven't put them up yet. So I kind of liked that idea. And then I decided, all right, I'm going to work on the toddler room, and I immediately picked out this bed with like little dinosaur prints all over it, and I was like, oh my god, I'm doing a toddler room where the toddlers are obsessed with dinosaurs. Done deal. I know we have what we need for this. So I was originally thinking actually that it was only going to be for one toddler, and then I was like, you know what? 2 toddlers. This room is way too freaking big just for one toddler. This should have been the child's room. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. It still should have been the child's room. At least in my opinion. But I ended up just keeping it as the toddler room because I really liked how it ended up coming together. So they each have their own little like Todd beds, obviously, and they have like dinosaur decorations. And the theme, I was originally just gonna go with the dark blue, but I ended up being able to combine it with like browns and oranges and some other lighter shades of blue as well. But I just thought it looked really, really cute. And oddly enough, with base game, I feel like we actually had enough to decorate a nursery or like a toddler room. Typically, I don't feel that way, but after going through the debug menu and just using some decorations that I've never used before, like those base game images right there near the window, I don't think I have used those very often, if ever, and kind of using those allowed the room to kind of tie together a little bit. And I also don't use this dresser a lot, so I kind of deviate away from base game items because I feel like I've had them forever, so I need to use like the new stuff I get. But kind of going through this, I actually liked a lot of the base game stuff, which was a little odd. And I pulled out some baby bottles and like diapers and like a little superhero book there, just as like miscellaneous decorations. And then I work on this little space of their room here that ends up being kind of like their reading play place. Because downstairs in the living room, there really just isn't a lot of room for too many items, and it's already kind of cramped with what's down there. So I wanted to make sure they had their own little play place as well. So there's like a little toddler chair and another toy chest, and they have another giant stuffed dinosaur. And then I work on the daughter's room, and it is very purple and pink. I just really liked the whole color scheme, to be honest. I was originally actually going to do it blue to kind of match the toddlers' rooms, which I don't actually know if the toddlers are little boys or little girls. It doesn't really matter. But I decided to go with a stereotypical little girl's room. So lots of pinks, lots of purples, and she has a couple of toys on her wardrobe there. And then she does have a stuffed unicorn, which I thought was really cute because I don't use the unicorn that much. And I just kind of clutter it up here. She does have that little bookshelf, so that only works, which I just learned, only works if it is actually on a slot on an object. If you do the move objects on cheat for those smaller quote-unquote bookshelves, they will not work. And I actually wanted to mention too, with my Squeeze the Day juice bar, totally off topic, Harry actually let me know that it is because of the move objects on cheat. So me placing all of those juices, if you guys haven't watched that, I placed all these juices with the OMSP shelf, and since it's a retail lot, my Sims couldn't buy them, and I was super confused, and it was because they weren't on slots. Who would have thunk? Not me. So I appreciate that tip because I had no freaking idea. But I just finished up the bathrooms there. I tried to make them very, very quick. They're pretty much identical to the ones downstairs. And then I finally move on to the backyard. And the backyard it's a little narrow. It's a little narrow for what I ended up doing, but I think I made it work. I do give them a pool, though it is a little bit of a narrow pool. And their backyard is at least fenced in, so they do have some privacy when they're kind of back there, either in the pool, playing, grilling, whatever the case may be. But I do like the pool area. It's small enough. It's not like this huge Olympic-sized pool, and it works, you know, if your Sims want to swim laps or like hang out. I mean, it's functional. It'll function as a one-tile pool, but I thought it was really neat. And I give them some chairs out there to kind of hang out by the pool, and I put those little like turtle decals on the bottom because I thought it was cute. They've got kids, so maybe that's why they did it. And here are the 2 outdoor chairs that I place, and then I decide to kind of create like a little grilling / dining area right at the foot of the stairs pretty much. But I do also add a little bit more landscaping as well, just because the fence really restricted the ability to kind of place a tree there without sacrificing like all of the space. But they do have a grill and a little outside dining area, and they also have the monkey bars because that's pretty much the only kid activity that we have with base game. I didn't have bikes, I didn't have a swing set, I didn't have sprinklers, I didn't have water balloons, I didn't have anything. So it was a little tough, but I really did enjoy this base game build, and we're pretty much approaching the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed this too, and I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
You said it was the last time, but you keep coming back to tell me sorry that you take back all the things you said just to hurt me. Our love just went cold, but I'm still burning. Our love just went cold. Why? I keep on making the same mistake. I always let you back in when I begin to get myself together again. You are back once more, like everything's the same. I tried to build my walls up, but you're taking them down. It's tearing me apart, I can't pretend. Now I have to get over you again. You said it was the last time, but you keep coming back to show me sorry you have changed now. But it's the same old story. Our love just went cold, but I'm still burning. Our love just went cold. Why? I keep on making the same mistake. I always let you back in when I begin to get myself together again. You are back once more, like everything's the same. I tried to build my walls up, but you're taking them down. It's tearing me apart, I can't pretend. Now I have to get over you again. Have to get over you again. Have to get over you. I keep on making the same mistake. I always let you back in when I begin to get myself together again. You are back once more, like everything's the same. I tried to build my walls up, but you're taking them down. It's tearing me apart, I can't pretend. Now I have to get over you again. Have to get over you again. You said it was the last time, but you keep coming back to tell me sorry that you take back all the things you said just to hurt me. Our love just went cold, but I'm still burning. Our love just went cold. Why? I keep on making the same mistake. I always let you back in when I begin to get myself